Okay, so let's go into our preferences and make sure we've got things set up the way we wanted. Some of these things are going to be important for recording, and a couple of things we'll talk about just because we're going to be there. Now, the preferences window is one of the hidden windows that's kind of rare. It's not already on the screen. There are not many windows like that, but this is one. We can get there in two ways. We can go to the live menu at the top and say preferences, or we can press Command, comma, and bring up the preferences window. So let's look through what's here. First, we have look, feel. This is just general layout things, whether you want to restore labels, do the don't show again stuff, the color, the default track color, I have it set to gray. The theme, you can change themes. I actually like to have mine on the dark theme. I think it looks kind of cool when I'm working at night. However, it doesn't look very good for screen captures, so I've set it back to the default, which is mid-light. Brightness, color hue, all that good stuff. Nothing critical here, just the way things look and feel. Audio. This is important. Okay, so driver type, if you're on a Mac, you want this to be core audio. If this says no audio, you need to change it to whatever your audio system is. The more important one is going to be audio input and audio output devices. So this is going to be what you're using to record and playback. So input is what we're using to record. So I have two possible recording things connected to my computer. I have a thing called a Quartet. This is an Apogee Quartet. This is a audio interface that lets me plug a microphone into it. So this is a separate box that I have that lets me plug in a microphone. You might not have one of these. That's okay. You should probably see here like internal microphone or something like that. I also have my webcam that's recording this that I could use. It has a built-in microphone that I could use. I don't have a built-in microphone because I'm on a desktop computer. So what I want to set is Quartet. Now this might get a little hairy because my screen capture software is using the Quartet as an input device also. So we'll see what happens. Output device, audio output device, that just means your speakers. So we could say here, whatever our speaker is. I have a lot of possible output devices hooked in here. You might want your built-in output, that's like your headphone jack, or the speakers that are in it. I again have Quartet because that's what my speakers are plugged into. This is a audio interface that I plug microphones and speakers into for high quality audio. You should consider getting one of these if you're going to do any kind of real recording. There's a bunch of different brands and types. This one, Apogee, that's Apogee, and the model is Quartet. I like it. I'm really happy with it. I also like the stuff by the company called Motu, M-O-T-U, if you want to look up the stuff that they make. Anyway, so we have that set. We have our in-out sample rate. Set this to 44,100. We'll explain what that means later when we talk in more detail about recording. And your buffer size, you might have to play with this a little bit. If you're on a slower computer, you might want to try to move this up. If you're getting glitchy and things like that, like little glitches and weird sounds, try moving it down. Experiment with it. It can solve some problems to change that. And then this test tone is just going to let you hear some stuff. It's going to hear a sine wave. So you can tell if you've got a clean audio signal or not. Okay, MIDI stuff. This is going to show us what MIDI devices are connected. So I have a push 2. These things are grayed out because they're not currently connected. This is my Quartet, which also has MIDI functionality. It is connected. So whenever you connect a new MIDI device, you want to come here and be sure you see it and turn it on here. That'd be like a MIDI keyboard. File and folder settings, nothing out of the ordinary here. You should be able to leave this with unmodified unless you're doing something strange. This is where your library is. Again, you shouldn't need to modify this. Record, warp, and launch. I wouldn't worry about modifying any of this stuff until you get into some more advanced recording and editing. But you have some settings for recording, the count in settings, file types, things like that. Warp, which we'll talk about soon, and launch settings, which we'll be talking about soon as well. And then license and maintenance, that's just your live license, and that's all fine. The main things to look at here is your audio devices and make sure your inputs and outputs are correct. Okay, with that, let's go back to the main window and talk about the browser a little bit.